Generic greetings and welcome back once again to Prison Architect, where in the previous episode we planned out this. This is the proposed solution to our mixed prisoner problem, where we're going to have a range of prisoners going from low risk up to perhaps supermax and maybe even death row, as people have suggested. So we'll see how we get on with the latter, but certainly low, medium and high will probably be included in this facility. Now, speaking of the facility, obviously it is nowhere near built. In fact, it's not had anything built on it at all. In fact, it's had loads of stuff removed from it because we've removed all of the trees, and that's why we put forestry on, because it's free money. In this episode we need to crack on with some construction, so let's go to grants and go to basic detention centre and then administration centre, and that's all we can get for now. So that's going to give us a total amount of money, 63,740 or 704 generic units of currency. Let's go to foundation and to building brick, and we want to build a big lump of foundation, which is going to be right like that, because yes, it is a huge amount of foundation, but at the end of the day, this section is almost certainly not going to change, so we might as well spend the money here, and obviously we can keep getting the grants and go from there. Over to our walls and doors, and then we will have a door which is a large jail door on the front there. We can get the different coloured doors. You can see it says red jail and that sort of thing. I did mention in the previous episode about using the coloured walls. We will probably use those. I'm tempted to use them on the internals of the grades, but I'm not too sure. Maybe we can use the foundations, and yes, you can yes, you can actually use wall min, medium, maximum, and then white and yellow. So I think once we go and expand and we put those in, we may even use these foundations, but the basic setup will be just using those, using the standard building brick. So I'm just going to put it to max speed, because quite frankly it's going to take quite a while to get all of this sorted. As you can see, they are going to crack on and build all of the foundation. We have auto light on, which could cause a bit of a problem, but we'll see how we get on there. Obviously this is a total of 30 grand to get this built, and then on top we have to pay for the lights, so we're going to be left with probably about 20 grand, although we'll see how we get on. We have obviously 2 grants on the go, which is administration centre and the basic detention centre. The latter will get done later, but the administration centre will get done in very, very short order, because it's going to be built right around here. Obviously we've still got all of the plans that we have. I could have used the quick build, the planning build plans option, but I like to plan it off and then just build like this in sequence, because we can use the grants and work our way and do that. So that's now put in, so that's fine. I'm going to go over to doors and to a large door. I'm going to put a large door in there, there, and that should do for the time being, because actually not there and there, because then it means they can come in and out through those areas. Okay, so over to our walls and doors, and then to the standard brick wall. We're going to put in the brick walls in and along here. Now I'm just going to build these 2 offices for the moment. These 2 offices will be probably the warden on the left and the accountant on the right. Let's go ahead and sort that out now. Actually, this is going to be reception at the front, so I might as well do that as well, but I have to be careful for the money that we're spending, you see. Anyway, over to our rooms, and then we're going to go to the office, and we'll obviously put those in. We need to furnish said offices, so we'll zoom right in, and we get options for this minimum requirement: office chair, the office desk, and then a filing cabinet, which, because of the way this has worked, it's not actually, yeah, it's got most of what we need in here. So we'll need an office desk, which will go in. How we're going to build this? Probably in there. We'll have an office chair, like so, and then a filing cabinet, probably at the back here, like that. Alright, we can put more stuff in here, so we can grade it if we wanted to. So you can put like a coat stand. It doesn't do anything. Resting place for hats and coats. So we could put one in if we wanted to. Perhaps later we might. At the moment, not so much. Okay, so now it's time to gamble. Do you think when we place the warden, it's going to actually put them in the bigger room or the smaller room? Place your bets now. Click. Ah, it actually placed it in there. Maybe it's because I placed them in there myself, but I have no idea. Over to bureaucracy and to unlock finance. We will get that cracking on. We need to unlock finance to bureaucracy and then hire an accountant, which will go there. While we are waiting for that, back over to the walls and the brick wall, which will zoom right down and then across. I will then go up to about there, followed by this little section here, and back over to doors. Staff door will go there, there. And you may have noticed that we've actually sealed some people in here. Whoops. Good job, the doors actually teleport to where they need to go. So now that this is in, we can go over to utilities and power station and place that in, followed by some capacitors across there and a water pump there, because you get all of this as standard. So that's now sorted. Back over to staff and to the, where would it be, accountant, and then there is our accountant. The accountant will research straight away the option to go for extra grant and then a bank loan. Speaking of loans, we want to go for probably a long-term investment, so we'll hand a bit of cash over and get some more back. Obviously, the earlier that we do that, the better. So this is now powered up and running, so we need to run the electrical cable. I will run the electrical cable down to there, which will power this up. That will then run right across to there and then up along to here for now. Each one of these will go like that and then like that, and that should power all of these rooms up for the time being, although there's a bit of a gap there, and the reason for that is we can go for metal detectors and place them in there, and that will connect them all up. I've also just realised that the planning has not applied on certain things, and also I should probably put some doors on this. Yeah, it's a bit noisy for them to work, so staff doors will go in like so. In terms of flooring, that's the last thing I'm worried about. I'm going to go for a short-term investment now because we've got an extra one of those, so that is fine. So we have 13 grand in order to get the basic detention centre. That's not going to happen. So what is the other option? Well, inmate health and well-being is build a medical ward, at least 2 doctors and a psychologist. Okay, we could do that. That's generally what we do anyway. Staff well-being initiative, have a staff room, 5 guards and no duties. The short and long-term investments is the way forward. What I'll do, I'll keep it on the max speed at the moment, and I'll wait for the short-term investment to be completed, and then we'll do health and well-being. The health and well-being, we need to build a medical ward. We won't be building that at the moment, or rather, wherever we build it, it'll be a very temporary location. We'll hire and fire, get that done, and then we'll move the people over to their final location, which is probably around here. I've also realised that this has been built as a full foundation, which we may change depending on if we're going to go for a bridge across here. I'm very, very tempted to do that, but I'm also hesitant as well. The bridge is this is the perfect place to put a bridge to make sure that this section and this section is separated off from the majority of it, but it's also extremely glitchy. I mean, the removal of this section here as well, but we'll come to that later on. Anyway, over to our walls and doors and then a brick wall, and we want to build up, across, and then down to build these 2 extra offices. The reason we're going to build these is simply because we need to let's go for cloning and select all of that, rotate it around, and is that right? It is not. We'll flip it, and now it is right, and there we go. Yes, as I was saying, the offices we need to build because we need to hire a psychologist for part of our grants. And there you go, there's the power of the flipping and rotating bit for cloning, which is really, really good. 11 grand with receiving about half a grand per day, but that's not strictly true. With the remaining cash that we have, we're going to go for fence grass and then go along here and then up to the top and then back over to that side, just to secure the facility at this stage. A couple of grand to do that, but it's not too much of an issue. I'm very tempted to place this stuff in here. Footbridge. How much is a footbridge? Footbridge, steel footbridge. It would be from there to there. So a gap of 6. So for 6 it would be £1.5 grand. £1.5 to get that footbridge. Okay. So it would mean the removal of some of this. Okay. Haven't decided. We're going to go over to Bureaucracy. We're going to research psychology and health because we need that for the grant anyway. We'll also probably go for maintenance and security as well. Don't really care what order that is. Don't want land expansion. Don't want tax relief. Micromanagement, same deal. Legal, eventually. Policy, also something I want early on. Well, before we get prisoners, basically. In terms of the transfers, obviously we covered this in episode 0 of the series, where we can set up all of these. I am because I'm totally unfamiliar with the inner workings of this. You know, I've seen the videos, I've read the patch notes, I've played about with it in previous prisons, but I haven't built a prison from scratch with this in mind. So we're going to go with default across the board for these criteria here, for the medium, maximum, and supermax ones. Not that we'll have the latter for quite a while. So that'll be fine there. In terms of the policy, similar thing. I'm going to go with default for the whole thing across the board, and then we'll alter it as we see fit. Okay, so that's cracking on building. Let's go over to walls, building, and straight up to the top there. And then we're going to place in this room here, which is going to be a staff room. So let's build that. Staff room. And while we're on, reception. There we go. Says reception not built, but we might as well... I think we can build it. And we'll have the tables in. Like so. And that should do us for now. Bins in as well. Very dirty, but we'll sort that out later on. Yard, as you can see, is now a legitimate place. It's... oh, there you go, and then there's the grass there. Not that this will really have a lot of grass around it, you understand, because, well, most of it's going to be concrete and such, so having this fence underneath is probably a bit redundant, but we'll see. All this fence is going to be removed anyway, so I don't really care at this stage. We can find out later on what the final thing is going to be. This is just a temporary one because we are expanding for the 3 directions, so north, west, and south, so that's fine. So that's built across there, that's done there, money's coming in, let's go for walls and doors right across there, and that's these 2 sections fully sorted. I'm going to remove the wall section there because it wasn't needed. For this, we'll have the entranceways in the centre, and I might as well put the door planning in. That's all in there, that's fine. We could always build a wall across. This is what I think someone suggested. Build a wall across there and have this extra section. Have this at the 4x4, and we'll just remove this section and have this as like the armory, and then this is the kennel. I actually think that's a good idea, so we're probably going to implement that, but not at this stage. We don't really have the spare funding. We don't really want any more doors going along here. That's all fine. Staff room, we'll get this one sorted. It is just going to be a case of building the bare minimum that we need for this one. So drinks machines and a sofa wide. Drinks machines I will put in there, and then the sofa wide we're going to put probably in there, and that'll do for the time being. As I said, it's just get the basics up and running so we can get the grants done, so that is fine. We will remove the planning for the extra bit of doorway there. That's all sorted, that's fine. We will build these little extra bits in here. This is where we'll have essentially the metal detectors either side. So that's now put in. Still have to think about removing this section for, as I said before, the bridge that goes across, but haven't yet decided if... I think it is gonna happen, but we'll see. Anyway, there is a grant completion payment, so that gives us the option now to go for probably inmate health and well-being, which is build a medical ward, hire at least 2 doctors, and hire a psychologist. So for the medical ward, it is... hang on, let's build a medical ward. Health is unlocked, as is that, so... it says build a medical ward, but it's called an infirmary, so I don't know why it's done that. Anyway, so this requires a medical bed, so I will get said bed in like so. I will then go to staff, and then doctors 1, 2, and then find a psychologist, and then that gives us the 10 grand advance payment, and I'll immediately select both the doctors and sack them both. There we go. And the psychologists, have a quick look. Right, so it costs 1,000 and it costs 200 per day, which means we have 5 days in order to get prisoners and then be in profit. I don't think, well, I pretty much know that we will not be building this within 5 days. Although I say that, I'm not entirely sure. But I'm going to keep the psychologist, but the doctor's certainly getting rid of. So we've got staff wellbeing initiative and reform through education initiative. We'll go for probably... which one do we want to build? We'll go for staff wellbeing initiative because most of that's done, and we'll go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there is another 10 grand in there. And these cost, it's the same thing, unless we get prisoners within 5 days. It's not going to work out. Actually, it's not strictly true, is it? Because it's 5 plus the hiring fee again. I'll keep them in for now. Actually, the doctor is the only one that we shouldn't have fired. 100 per day and it costs 1,000. Oh well, mistakes were made. Never mind, we'll move on. Okay, over to brick wall. Let us build a brick wall across there, and we're going to build one of the canteens. Not both of them. I mean, I'll put the walls in for them, but we're only going to build the one because we are now focusing on getting the basic detention centre. So let's go ahead and do that. So rooms will be kitchen, and the advantage of doing this kitchen like we are is that we can easily rotate and clone it, which is something we obviously want to do. This will go across here and then right across there, and then we'll also put in the walls. So wall across there and then up. This will be the toilet. So, electrical cabling, we have to bring into here. I'm going to bring the cable up and straight across to there for now. Not going to power the other one up. So, for the kitchen, minimum, again, required is cookers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put it there then. So, one cooker. How do I want to do this? Sinks can go. No, I don't like the sinks going there. Don't need 3 sinks. But I could fit 3 sinks there. Followed by the cookers. I'm actually going to do that. So dismantle that. 3 sinks, followed by cooker, followed by cooker, followed by fridges that go in the middle. Not going to do that. You get the idea of how the setup is. That's why I've done it like that. Okay, happy with that. Fine. The water next. So we'll go a large pipe. This will run down, across, and then up to here. Almost certainly will run that way and across because in reality, we need water here, and we need water over here. So doing that will probably work out. Not going to build it all the way to the left, there's no point at this stage, but we do want to connect this up with some water like so. And let's go on with the canteen then. So the canteen, we can grade now, but I'm not going to get a maximum grading on it. We're just going to go for the standard tables. That's a table, so that goes in the middle. And table, benches, and also the serving tables on the right hand side. There we go, that's now in. Zooming right in. Get some context thing sorted. 2, 3, 4. That's 4 serving tables. That is now a legitimate area. It's not graded, and we don't know what the grading is, but it is at least in. Okay, in terms of other grant, we've got criminally insane wing, we're not building, and reform through education initiative, which we're not going to pick up because there's no point. 37 grand in order to build this. More than enough money. More than enough money. So, over to walls and doors. Doors. And standard jail door. Large jail door, actually. This, as I said, is a... I say semi-permanent or temporary because I don't know if it's going to be kept or whether or not it'll be completely overhauled to something different. We don't have solitary and we don't have protective custody. I have a feeling that one of these will eventually become either of those. Solitary is still a problem. I was meant to plan it off last episode and I forgot. And I haven't put it in this one. So we'll probably not have it until we get the expansion. That also means, though, we'll have to research cleaning and policy and all that sort of thing. Speaking of that, policy. We'll get that. And while we're at it, to be honest, we'll hire a foreman. Groundskeeping, cleaning, prison labour. 5 grand, expensive, but it means that we can get a little of the other stuff anywhere. Okay, holding cell, shower, at least 2 cooks. No problem at all. So it'll be rooms, shower, in like so. Walls. Very tempted to do a tiled wall, actually. It is the shower, after all. Would make perfect sense. Objects. Zoom in. Shower head. We've also got the shower pillar. But no, it's going to be shower head across there. Rotate. Across to there. Across to there. Drains. Underneath. And at the entrance. Okay, that's the shower. Going to max speed it out. Let them crack on. 2 cooks and a holding cell. Holding cell is quite a simple one, actually. We'll go for walls and doors, doors, staff doors. Staff door goes there, staff door goes there. Same on this side. And then if we go for holding, we can put a holding cell in here. That then will say eventually that it is legit, needs to be surrounded. But it also needs a, what is it, a bench and a toilet. And then 2 cooks. And that should be that done once this is built. Once they put the doors in. What they're cracking on with over here. Oh, that one over there. Fine. Large water pipe to go to about there. And there is our 10 grand advance payment, completion rather, for the basic detention centre. We're going to pick up cell block A and prison maintenance. Half of that will already be researched. That takes us to a 51,000. I'm also going to increase our bank loan to the maximum amount because we want to increase our credit rating just in case later on we need to alter some of that. So removing the garbage, we don't want that. We're dismantling both the toilet and the bench, and that becomes the standard room that we have there. So that is pretty much okay. I think we will then leave it there. That has been a little bit of Prison Architect, and we've managed to get a lot of things done. In fact, if we go for a gardener and then 2 janitors, because this thing is quite dirty, we can get another grant, which is visitation rights, which we're going to build around here anyway, so that makes perfect sense. And yeah, there we are. That is a lot more building than I expected us to actually get. We've managed to get in the reception, storage, power room. We've got in the offices, staff room, kitchen and canteen. A lot of this is, I wouldn't say temporary. I think it's more unfinished. But we got the basics in. Long-term investment will be finished in less than a day in-game. Cell block A, easily done when we do the next episode. Just a couple of rows. Job done. Okay, happy. Very happy indeed. Next episode, we'll crack on and see how far we get. As always, comments in the comments. Thanks very much for watching. Take care, and generic partings.